So, back to government shutdown news. Again.
Hooray.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like every other week we're talking about this. But Mike Johnson in the House of Representatives has recently just passed a government funding bill that will fund the government all the way up to September. This bill was passed with majority Democrat votes and did not receive the majority Republican votes. 101 around there Republicans voted for it. 112 voted against it.
Which, to be clear, is the exact same story we've had for all of the continuing resolutions, which was 3 or 4 that were passed before this. I think 3.
Maybe. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you.
So 3 continuing resolutions, and now this new bill that is finally supposed to fund through 2024.
Finally.
All have been passed with majority Democrat support in the House, which is controlled by Republicans.
And so, like, this is a really great example of the government literally would not be functional without Democrat bipartisanship with Republicans that are at least somewhat sane.
Yes, and to the government, I mean, even to call this a functional government is a bit of a stretch because we have the least functional Congress that we've had in history. But for even these bare minimum, allowing it to exist, like to not shut down, so then we need Democrats.
Then the good question is, how did Mike Johnson even make this happen? Because I just told you, he didn't even pass this bill with the majority of Republican votes. How did he even get it onto the floor? Well, he avoided the rules completely. Yeah. He passed this through something called a suspension of the rules, which means you don't have to run the House in general order and allow for amendments and let things go through commission, the committees and stuff. If you pass something with a suspension of the rule, it takes 2/3 of the House and it passes through. Democrats and Republicans made up that 2/3 to breeze it right through. The 112 Republicans that voted against this are absolutely furious. One of the things in this government funding bill was increasing the number of beds, increasing at the border, increasing the number of Border Patrol agents. And a Republican of the House Freedom Caucus went on TV and said, "Why are we helping Joe Biden in an election year?" And so this is where we're at with these hard-line right-wing Republicans.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, that Republicans are working against what is supposedly their own agenda for what are clearly, openly political motivations just to try to tarnish Joe Biden in an election year.
Yeah, the partisanship is deep right now. But it gets worse for Republicans. Not only did the majority of Republicans vote to shut down the government, Marjorie Taylor-Greene, right after this happened, approached the head of the House of Representatives and submitted a motion to vacate against Mike Johnson. Now, you don't know what a motion to vacate is. That's when one member of Congress is able to say, "I want to kick the speaker out. Let's have a vote on kicking out the speaker of the House of Representatives."
Yeah,
it has only happened once in U.S. history, against Kevin McCarthy a couple months ago.
Yeah, this mechanism was first introduced because Kevin McCarthy had such a hard time initially getting elected as speaker from his own Republicans in the House.
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure it took 5 petitioners to file a motion to vacate, and McCarthy brought it down to 1 petitioner to put the motion to vacate on the table. So Marjorie Taylor-Greene puts in this motion to vacate. Twitter blows up. The news blows up. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, wait a second. This again? It's Groundhog Day all over again. This is insanity."
Yep.
And then she goes onto the Capitol steps and she starts explaining her position. She's like, "Listen, I submitted the motion to vacate. That just means that I have the authority to rise and say that I want to vacate. It doesn't mean I'm going to yet." She's like, "It's really a warning." I don't really know about that. We'll see. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
House is going to be on recess for the next 2 weeks. So if this happens, it's going to be happening in April. And so for these next 2 weeks, Marjorie Taylor-Greene is going to be looking for an alternative to Mike Johnson right now. And the House Freedom Caucus and these other hard-right Republicans are going to be lobbying for a new person to take up the speaker's chair. I can't think of a worse place for the Republicans to be going into what could be their most important election.
Yeah, this is I mean, that's probably why Green was trying to walk things back.
Yes, that's
in the media.
Why. I totally agree.
Yeah, they already look so dysfunctional. They are so dysfunctional, and they look it. And to further that by vacating the chair again is just, it's ridiculous. I mean, they've been a laughingstock. It's like, how much more can you pile on?
And so
right?
now, there's so many different avenues to talk about this. I want to go first with the hardcore, just electoral politics. Mike Johnson is already having a hard time raising money. Now he has people in his conference pushing a motion to vacate Who's going to want to give Mike Johnson money? He might not even be around a year from now. What is the incentive of anyone to donate to the Mike Johnson committees? There's no reason.
Yeah, which we talked about when we talked about Johnson's struggle in fundraising, right? It's like there's just no trust, and the signs just keep piling up that there shouldn't be trust. Right?
No. He's not a solidified leader at all. He's a guy who happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Yes,
and totally. now he's in the fucking wrong place.
Yeah, no, he was chosen because it's like he's enough of almost a non-figure.
Yeah,
right. Like he's not. He'll be upheld. He's almost the purest politician you could imagine.
Yeah,
he's just trying to survive.
Yes,
right.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Now, from internal, policy perspective, what does this mean? Well, Mike Johnson's going to do everything he can to stay alive. Mike Johnson isn't going to take the vacate lightly, and so Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrats in the House, has already said, like, no, we'll help Mike Johnson, but we'll think about it. We can help Mike Johnson if you fund Ukraine fully.
Did he say Ukraine specifically?
Yes, he said yes. They've already been saying Ukraine specifically.
Okay,
that language is already coming out.
I only read that Democrats would save Johnson if they got more leeway to decide what was discussed and what kind of bills went to the floor of the House. So I didn't know about the specifics.
Okay. Yes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they did mention Ukraine.
Maybe it's both. Maybe it's Ukraine specifically, but also in general as far as putting bills up for debate, the Democrats can have some say.
Yeah. So, and Mike Johnson, that's not good for Republicans either, because no Republican is going to want to donate to a Speaker of the House who's propped up by Democrats.
No, I mean,
right?
If he's propped up by Democrats, is he going to get reelected?
No.
Right? Like he can get primary like that.
Oh, that's such a good point. If he gets propped up by the Democrats, he'll just get primary.
Yeah.
Yeah, his political career's over. What a terrible incentive structure we've built.
Oh my God. Yeah, our system is broken.
Our incentive structure is just so messed up. But if we go through another motion to vacate, I mean, the Republican Party needs to face some serious electoral defeats in November. Like the party needs to be punished for this. I'm not saying that they will be. They very well might keep the House. Well, however unlikely I think it is.
I think it's super unlikely as well.
No,
I mean, what they're doing right now is they're just digging the hole deeper and deeper.
Dude.
They have so many vulnerable seats already. And if, I don't know, anyone who pays any attention, right? They know, like, how are you not rolling your eyes at this? How are you not like, come fucking on?
Yeah. And now Marjorie Taylor-Greene is making the whole place look like a bunch of clown shows, and they already are. And it's just crazy. My dad is a Republican, and I called him when it happened, and he was like, I'm sorry, what happened? I'm like, Dad, she just voted, she submitted to vacate Mike Johnson. He's like, no, she didn't. And then he turns on the TV, and he sees her, and she's like, why would she do that? He was so frustrated. He's like, this is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And that's coming from like a Republican. So,
yeah.
Oh, God. People see it, man. People see it if they just open their eyes and watch and read what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of almost like a problem with Fox News. Now, Fox News, as pro-Republican as they are, they can't not report on what's happening.
Yes.
So like if you like, and even Fox has trouble spinning these things as normal or okay.
Yeah.
Like they don't know how to report on this in a favorable way to Republicans because there isn't any. It's just incompetent.
No, they're gonna try to say it and report on it, and then just move on to how Joe Biden walks like a Roomba when he's trying to get off stage, right?
Yeah.
He's like they're gonna say it, and then they'll move on really quick and be like, oh, actually, Joe Biden was on meth during the State of the Union. Right?
Yes.
They're just gonna
Let's not linger on that.
Yeah.
Go to something else.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens with Mike Johnson over the next 2 weeks. He has 2 weeks to plan his future while the House is in recess. So we'll see.
I do what we were talking about just before this, because this news came out just hours ago today, is how heroic of a story will it be if like they're able to leverage this to get this aid for Ukraine through?
Oh my God.
Like something so important that will come out of something so silly.
Yes.
It would be fantastic.
Yes, I see this as like the climactic moment in a book that's going to be written 20 years from now about the most dysfunctional Congress in American history.
It is. It's almost like, in Game of Thrones, how you have especially in the early seasons, you have all these different threads with different character arcs that are happening at the same time.
Yes.
And then slowly as they come closer and closer together as you get closer to the end. That's what's happening right now. It's like this silly story of the Republicans not being able to function and this extremely serious war that's happening in Ukraine are coming together, and this is how it's supposed to fall out.
Wow.
Hopefully.
Wow. Imagine if Marjorie Taylor-Greene is the reason we get Ukraine funding. Oh, man. That's hilarious.
Thanks, Marjorie.
Thank you.